Hey everyone, Sky here to discuss The Mummy's Ghost, starring Lon Chaney Jr., John Carradine, Robert Lowry, Ramsey Ames, Barton McLean, George Zucco, and Frank Riker or something like that, and directed by Reginald DeBorg. Now let's just get straight into this movie because this came out a long time ago and this is my first two viewings of the movie. Tom Hervey, played by Robert Lowry, was in a classroom about archaeology and mummies and gets his girlfriend out of work. And then we get the high priest, returned by George Zucco, as assigning Yosef Bey, played by John Carradine, who's David Carradine's father, to resurrect the mummy, returned by Lon Chaney Jr., and to protect him and let him do his thing. And this beginning bored the living hell out of me. Amina, who's the girlfriend, played by Ramsey Ames, faints when she sees the mummy and faints as she has a birthmark on her wrist, and Sheriff Elwood tries to interrogate her. And honestly, these scenes have nothing to do with the movie except the mummy walking around killing people. But that's not enough to keep me entertained. Next scene, Tom and Amina and Peanuts the dog are in the car and she's frightened. And it's to this day a corny scene, and as it's gotten done to death nowadays. Amina can't shake the haunted feelings that torture her, and Tom wants her to get out of town to go to New York as he makes plans to leave in the morning as she goes to sleep, and Tom leaves her in the care of Mrs. Blake and Peanuts the dog. Then Yosef Bey calls her and she sleepwalks in to the soul of Anenka, who's a mummy, as well as these scenes are very silly for Mrs. Blake, closing all the doors and windows locked, which is honestly not the best idea, and sleepwalking is a cliche way of people getting to places where they can't go, as Mrs. Blake witnesses the abduction and phones Tom to go alert him, and goes after Amina, who's gone with the mummy to the mill where Yosef Bey waits for them and begins to admire Amina's beauty and keeps her alive, and gives Amina and the mummy drink some fluid and becomes immortal. Then the mummy knocks the cup away and exacts its vengeance on the priest. And Tom witnesses the priest's death and fights the mummy, and Amina's hair becomes white for reasons I don't understand. The mob of people fight with Tom and Amina with Tom and Amina, is starting to age rapidly and becomes a 3,000-year-old Princess Anaka, and I just don't care at this point anymore. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 3.5 out of 10. There's things I didn't fully understand, as this was a bad movie and it's doing things the terrible and cliche way, and I'm not entertained, and I just don't care anymore at this point. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me, and next week I will be back with The Mummy's Curse. And until next time, it's time to kill the mummy.